Okay. Shall we begin the class, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Guys, are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah. Okay. So, is any doubts from yesterday's class? Have you guys explored this cloud computing services and cloud computing models? So, just wanted to know if you're having any doubts from yesterday's class. If you're having no doubts, we'll proceed into further
No,
topic.
no,
Okay.
sir.
Shall we start with the new topic?
Yes.
Okay. What happened to the rest of guys? Only one guy is responding.
Sir, actually, yesterday class I am not attending.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How many of you are
Yeah,
not
study
there?
class I was not.
Okay. No problem. I think today also we'll be covering the similar type of topic only. So I think this will also give you the same, we can just recollect yesterday's class in today's class also. Okay. So
Okay.
Okay, sir.
no. If you are having any doubts, you can just interrupt me in between, and you can get the doubt clarified also. That's not an issue. Okay. So basically, today what we'll be trying to do is we'll try to understand what exactly is cloud computing. I think what exactly is cloud computing I have covered yesterday, but no problem. I'll try to explain that today also in very shorter terms. And what are the advantages of using this cloud computing? And basically we wanted to learn AWS, right? So we'll try to understand what exactly is AWS and what are all the services it has been providing to us, and how to start using AWS services and why to choose AWS services. So that all we'll be trying to understand today. And part 4 will be the AWS cloud adoption framework. Like for example, if you want to use this Amazon services, what are the ways you will be to be using these services? So what are the various method to adapt these type of services which are provided by AWS? Okay, so that we'll be working on. So mostly think advantages, what are the different types of services provided by AWS, and how to get started or how to use these services, that will be learning. Okay, so getting into it. So yesterday we have discussed what are different types of cloud computing. So basically, we have understood that there are three types of services. One is IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. Okay, IaaS stands for infrastructure as a service. The other one is platform as a service. The other one is software as a service. I think further in this PPT also we'll be trying to understand it in a much better way. So six advantages. This is very very important as because this might be your interview question. So whenever you go and attend any interviews regarding to this cloud computing concepts, I think you need to able to explain the interviewer what are the advantages. So these are the six advantages are the standard ones which you need to keep it in your mind always. So whenever you are going or attending any interview, so this will help you a lot. And I would recommend you to remember the six advantages in your head. So each advantage you need to explain to the interviewer with an example, so that will help you a lot. So this, I think, this six advantages which I'll be teaching you today need to memorize it by you. Okay, you need to remember the six advantages always. I can say throughout your career also. Okay, and cloud deployment models. What are the different types of cloud deployment models? I think yesterday we have discussed. So we have three models. One is public, one is private, one is hybrid. So this topic I think we'll be recollecting, and I'll try to explain that again for you. Okay. So yesterday's class we have discussed mostly on these three things: IES, PaaS, and SaaS, and public, private, and hybrid cloud. So that I'll try to make you understand better for today. Okay. So after that, so what is the process to start working with AWS? So okay, this will be covering in cloud adoption framework. So this will be our main focus. So this will be laying you the basic foundation which is required for you guys to start with AWS or any type of cloud computing. Okay. So getting into deeper. So what exactly is cloud computing? So here you can just try to understand with the picture. As you can see, there are so many different buildings, or you can say different organizations, or you can say, or you can also say some on-premise servers which are located in different areas. So these are all working under one single cloud. As you can see, this single cloud is exchanging the information between different organizations. And you can simply say, as you can just say, you can just identify the route. So everyone, whichever individual want to communicate or exchange information, so all this is happening through cloud. So basically, this cloud we can simply call in our local terms, we can also call it as internet. So as you can say, the internet is acting like a medium to exchange our information or code. So the thing is, yesterday I think we have discussed networks, right? So we have discussed LAN, WAN, GAN, and MAN. So this, whatever we call it as WAN, wide area network, so that will come under cloud. So as you can see, by using cloud, you can exchange information throughout the world, wherever you are located. So the thing is, this, for example, there are four buildings. So you might just simply assume that these four are four different countries. These buildings are located on four different locations on the globe, and still you are able to access the information of one organization with the another organization. So how is that is working is because the help of cloud. So basically this internet which we are talking about in our local terms. So technically, when you are entering an organization, we generally call it as cloud. Cloud, you can just simply, just for your easy understanding, we can simply call it as internet, or else in technical terms we call it as cloud. So basically, in simple terms, if you want to explain or to someone, so we can call it as cloud computing is on-demand delivery of compute power, database, storage, applications, and other IT resources through a cloud service platform via the internet with pay-as-you-go service or pay-as-you-go pricing. So simply, in simple term, what I can say is information. So cloud computing is an on-demand delivery of information through cloud via the internet. So simply you can say the whatever he's saying, like on-demand delivery of computing. We can just say, let us say compute power, database, storage, application, and other IT resources. So these are all will be coming under our information while we are working in an IT organization. So that means you can exchange this computing power. That means yesterday we have discussed like i3 power, i5, i7. So each processor will have some different capacity to handle. So in the similar way, when you're working on with servers, each server will have some different capacities to handle your traffic, so that you can work. So database means database information, storage, and applications, and other IT resources through cloud service as a platform through the internet. Okay, so we'll be using the internet as a medium. So that is nothing but wide area network. So using that as a medium of communication, we'll be exchanging information. So all this process, which the process is called as cloud computing. The thing, the concept is very simple: the exchanging of information between organizations or between individuals by using internet as a service. So we'll be using this internet for exchanging of this information between the organizations. So that we are calling it as cloud computing. So in local terms, we call it as internet. But when we are working on in an organization where we'll be mostly typically working on compute power, databases, storages, applications, and other IT resources, when these things are involved, we call it as cloud computing. So basically, you need to understand, as yesterday I was discussing. So anything, if you want to try to understand, first you need to identify the problem. Then you can be able to understand the solution. So anything, if you want to learn anything new, first you identify the existing problem there, and how they have resolved the problem. So basically here you can see, this is the left section which you have seen here. This is completely called as a rack system. So the right side, you can see this is only just zeros and ones. This is all zeros and ones information are completely collected in one single server. So basically, what is saying, cloud computing enables you to stop thinking of your infrastructure as a service and instead think of it to use as a software. So yesterday we were discussing like what are all the difficulties for maintaining your server. So we have found out that we need to have proper power backup. We need to have an administrator, and we need to have an isolated place. So we need to have proper internet connection, and we need to maintain and buy some several set of softwares which are required to run our server. So and these need to be running 24 by 7. So basically, this we call it as the server which we maintain ourselves can also be called as on-premise server. Okay, on-premise server, it doesn't mean, it means that all the server related operations need to be maintained by ourselves. So if we are having server, we need to maintain all our activities, right? So regarding the software, electricity, backup, administrator, internet, everything will be stored in our server. So this need to be maintained by ourselves, so that is called on-premise server. Okay, so as we are on premise, we are working on on premise servers. So we have lot of difficulties in maintaining our on premise server. So that is why we want to shift to the cloud. So while shifting to the cloud, what happens is, so the all our difficulties which we are talking about, so all these difficulties can be solved. So all this whatever all the difficulties, these are all difficulties will be handled by the service provider. So service providers, like we have so many service providers in the market, like Amazon is providing like AWS, Microsoft is providing Azure, and Google is providing like Google Cloud Platform. So these are all cloud service providers. So it's their responsibility to handle your server, to handle your information, to provide you security, and to provide this 24 hours of backup, and to reduce the uh, downtime. So these are all responsibilities will be taken by them. So what you need to do is, so that is why we are telling. So here you need to stop thinking about your infrastructure as hardware. That means you need not worry about maintaining your server on premise. So on premise you have server issues like problems with electricity, problems with backup, problems with internet, and problems with the administrators, or problems with the virus attack of the software. And again, you need to buy licenses, and you need to have so many networking issues. So these are all problems when you are maintaining on premise. So the best advantage of shifting to the cloud is, all these activities will be maintained by the cloud service provider. For example, here we are working on AWS. So AWS will be looking after all these activities. Okay, So coming to next, so here is saying that cloud computing enables you to stop thinking of your infrastructure as a hardware. So we'll be forgetting about maintaining the infrastructure or hardware. So everything will be taken care by the AWS or any other cloud service provider. So here they are mentioning all the difficulties. For example, if you are maintaining this on your on-premise, so hardware solutions are physical. So this means they require space. So you'll have space maintaining problem. You need to have staff. You need to have physical security. We need to have planning, and also we have discussed that we need capital expenditure. That means putting a server is no, and maintaining it needs a lot of capital and lot of expenditure also to maintain them physically. So that means all this whatever the problems which are talking about space, staff, physical security, planning, and capital expenditure. So this you can mention as the problem when you are maintaining this server on your premises. So these are all the problems, and these are all the problems will be solved by cloud computing. Why? Because the cloud service provider will handle all these activities for you. Okay, so guess at the theoretical maximum peaks. Is there any enough resource capacity? Do we have sufficient storage? So I think yesterday we are discussing about this practical example. uh, I think for the guys who have missed yesterday's class, I'll just try to make them understand. For example, we'll take Flipkart as an example. Okay, so during this, for example, there will be a scenario called Big Billion Days, right? So what happens is, every day there will be some average traffic. For example, I will say every day there is an average traffic of around 10,000 people. And suddenly, if what happens is, for example, they'll be putting some Big Billion Day offer. So on this Big Billion Days, suddenly there will be rise in the users of Flipkart. Suddenly it might go to some 1 lakh or maybe 10 lakhs or more number of users. So what is the problem at that time is suddenly there will be a huge inflow of traffic for the website. So at that time, for example, if you are maintaining all your Flipkart servers in your premise, for example, I'll say on premise service. So that time what happens is you need to handle all this user traffic. So mainly Flipkart is a business which is dependent on the sales. I can simply say that if there is more number of sales, then the profit will be more, right? So what happens here is, if users are coming and they want to buy something from the website, if you are unable to give them the best experience, so what happens if if they are having some good products and all, so the sales will not come up, and also the users will not show interest to buy from the website. So, for example, if you're buying all this in on-premise, you not have enough resource to handle that number of users. For example, Flipkart, your servers can be able to handle only 15 to 20,000 users at particular time, but your user traffic is around coming in more number of lakhs. So it is very difficult for the server to handle these many users, right? So this is a scenario where what you need to do, you need to buy more and more servers to handle your users. So that means it is completely a capital intensive. That means you need to invest on so much infrastructure, or we can directly say it as servers. So you need to buy so many servers to maintain your users, right? So that will be like capital intensive. And also, as we have discussed, this particular thing is not limited to only it means that this lakhs number of users who want to buy, these are all not regular customers. So these customers will come only on this particular Big Billion Day. And once the Big Billion Day offer completes, for example, on during average visitors on Big Billion Day will be 5 lakhs. I can say after Big Billion Days, the same traffic would not be there. So hardly 50,000 people will be coming to make the purchase. So but you have bought all the infrastructure which is required to handle 5 lakhs of users. So on the remaining days, your infrastructure, your hardware or infrastructure will be lying aside. That means nobody will be this even if you have so many servers, they are of no use to you. Why? Because the servers need so much traffic such that they can you can make use of them. So in that scenarios, this might not help you. Even if you are buying so much of infrastructure, that will go for waste. Okay, so in that case, cloud computing will help you out. So why like computing is, you can simply rent your servers. For example, on Big Billion Day, you might be needing some 100 servers. So what you can do is, you can just go to any cloud service provider and you can ask them for rent. So I need 100 servers for next 5 days. So what you can do is just you can pay some a token amount of some x, for example, x rupees per server per 10 days, sir, per 10 days. So that you can pay, and you can just at a very minimal effort and very minimal value, you can get the servers and make use of them on that particular time, and you can just get relieved. I think this you can just compare is, instead of buying the whole infrastructure and buying some space, buying staff, buying physical security, and buying planning and capital expenditure. Instead of all this, getting all these things on rent is a very smart idea. So that is why it is very good for getting into this, taking the services from cloud service provider. So before this cloud computing, this concept was not there. So before this cloud computing, you need to have all the thing, you need to be maintained by yourself. As the technology has evolved, this cloud computing concept has came into the market. So then they started using this cloud computing. So this services, we might be asking, sir, what type of services I can take from this cloud service provider. So these are all categorized into three types. One is IaaS, which stands for infrastructure as a service, and second one is PaaS, platform as a service, and the third one is SaaS, which is nothing but software as a service. So all these cloud service providers will be providing you with these three things. So next thing is, what if your need changes? So if you have to go through time, effort, and cost required to change all of this, as I think I've already explained. So maximum the Big Billion Day offer will stand for only 10 days. The rest 355 days, the traffic will be not the same. But for this 10 days, you need not have, you need to invest so much of your time, effort, and cost to get this all changes. So after this 10 days, there will be no use of this resources which you have bought for your business. So next, so utilizing cloud computing. So utilization, as you have told, we can take some on rent. So one is here is saying that software is flexible. So if you needs change, your software can change much more quickly, easily, and cost effectively than your hardware. So I'll tell you one very simple example of this. For example, if you are building one e-commerce website, so the thing is, the code will remain the same. Only you'll be writing the code for one time. So as you can see, you can just take example of Flipkart website. So in the Flipkart website is has been written in only one time. But you can see this Flipkart website will be running on multiple servers. That means for you can run the same software on 100 servers, or even you can run the same software on 1000 servers. It doesn't make any difference. So that is why it's saying that software is flexible. And for this, you can also take the best example as Facebook. So Facebook, the program has been written in only one time, or maybe you can say some set of 10 software developers has developed this Facebook website. As you can see, the Facebook website is available globally. It is able to connect on every corner of the our globe. So this means if they can run the same software on 100 servers, or they can run the code on one server, or they can run the same code on in even 10,000 servers. So it is very easy quickly you can quickly usually you can deploy on different servers, and you can make use of it multiple number of times, whereas for the hardware it's not. So as I think we have discussed already, there will be three types of model of cloud computing. One is IaaS, infrastructure as a service, PaaS, platform as a service, and SaaS, software as a service. So in infrastructure as a service, mainly it deals with the hardware. So that means if you are using any rented service through this cloud service providers, so these cloud service providers will be providing you infrastructure like hardware like memory and storage and processing capability. So you can simply understand IaaS as some hardware which you get make use of. As we have just talking about this Flipkart example. For example, if you are working in Flipkart organization, if you are working on if your Flipkart website is working on 10 servers, so what happens is, so we'll just assume a scenario of big billion day. So on big billion day you might be needing 100 servers to handle the traffic. So as you have already have 10 servers, you will be leasing 90 servers from cloud service provider. For example, I'll say AWS. So AWS will be giving you IaaS as a service. That means AWS will be renting you 90 servers on your big billion days. So on this, you will go to if you want IaaS as a service, you will go to AWS and you can say, sir, I need IaaS as a service. So this IaaS as a service, what they'll provide you? They'll provide you this processor. They'll provide you memory. They will provide you storage. So these are all on hardware, right? So this hardware, whatever the service provided in the form of hardware, will be falling under infrastructure as a service. Okay, you can just simply remember that IaaS will be standing for hardware. Okay, so next, coming to platform as a service. So in the platform what happens is, so basically PaaS is a service which is given along with IaaS. That means IaaS will come in an individual way, whereas PaaS will come with along with IaaS. So IaaS plus PaaS. So in past, what happens is, in all this, for example, for any development of software. For example, if you are using this Flipkart website, you are building one Flipkart website. So this Flipkart website need to be written in some language, right? For example, the person might be using Java or .NET or some what we say .NET or PHP or JavaScript. So these are all written in some language. And also each while developing this Flipkart website, you might be needing so many other requirements. For example, you need a database, you need to have some platform to be written, and you need to have so many libraries, and you might be needing so many plugins. So or you might be needing some software, or you need to be having some operating system, right? So as you know that when we are working for an organization and we are doing some commercial business, so all the softwares will not get for free, right? So you need to buy licenses. For example, if you are using Windows operating system, so you need to buy a license. Similarly, if you are wanting to use this .NET platform, so you need to buy license for that. So similarly, if you are working on this SQL server, which is nothing but will be used for databases, so SQL server, so we need to buy some license. So these are all involved, and this is also some additional cost which is taken along with the infrastructure. For example, if you buy a laptop, so the person will only provide you the hardware infrastructure, whereas the softwares which you need, for example, if you want to install a Windows operating system, you need to buy a license key. Similarly, if you want to install some Photoshop, you need to buy a software copy. So similarly, if you want to install some X software, so for example Adobe or any other software which you want to use, so for these softwares you need to pay additionally, right? So in the same way, so PaaS is a service where it will be providing you all this uh, things for free. With these all things, will these all software licenses, everything softwares or any platforms. So any software licenses which are required, all this will be provided by platform as a service. So whenever you go to, for example, if you are putting your Flipkart website on, if you are installing this Flipkart website on Amazon servers, so to run this software on Amazon servers, you might be needing some software. For example, I'll say SQL Server. So we need SQL Server to run your Flipkart website. So what happens is this AWS will only provide you the necessary licenses which are required for running your Flipkart website. SQL Server license will be provided by AWS. Similarly, you need Windows 10 Enterprise Edition. For this, you need a license. So this license will also be provided by AWS. So in such way, infrastructure comes only with the hardware, where you need to buy all your licenses separately. Whereas PaaS comes with along with infrastructure. So it also brings infrastructure along with PaaS. That means here all the licenses will be provided by AWS. You need not buy separately. So this will reduce your cost.
Sir, I am not able to audible, sir.
Sorry guys, are you able to hear now?
Sir,
Are you guys able to hear now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So someone is saying that it's not audible. Just you can just please interrupt me in between if you are having any doubt or any interruption. Okay. Shall I move on?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. So similarly, this platform, all the licenses which are required will be provided by AWS. So you need not pay a hefty amount for buying your license. For example, if you buy any license or software, basically, as you know, there are two types. One is you can just buy it for 1 year, or you can buy for lifetime. For every year, you need to extend your licenses. So as you can see, when you are using this services, for example, Big Billion Day, hardly will be using for 10 days only. And also when you see, for example, I can tell you this example of Windows 10, Microsoft Windows operating system. So basically they provide key, and that key will be only working on 10 systems. That means you can install the operating system on 10 servers. Right now I'm talking about 100 servers. So you need to buy licenses for 100 different servers. That means you need to buy 100 licenses. So that means you are additionally spending 90 licenses to install your software on server. So this cost we can be reduced. Instead of buying that 90 licenses, these licenses will be bought by AWS and will be provided for you with a nominal cost, right? So this is regarding this pass. So pass, you can just remember that all the necessary licenses or necessary software which are required for your development purpose. So, for example, your Windows operating system, SQL Server, .NET, and Visual Studio, some IDE, some development softwares. So, all this regarding this, the licenses will be provided only for the development softwares. Okay, remember that. So, only for the development purposes, the licenses will be provided. Okay, so now comes to SaaS, software as a service. So as you know that, for example, we'll take the same example of Flipkart only. So Flipkart, you are working on one e-commerce website. Okay. So as you know that e-commerce website need to be developed. So you might be needing some software team, a group of developers, a group of designers, a group of testing team, and a group of planning team. So this is all some type of resource and investment, right? So you'll be hiring at least 10 to 15 people to further development of this Flipkart website. So what happens is So as you can see, there is a common term called e-commerce. So what e-commerce website is? E-commerce website is the same thing. For example, Flipkart, they are doing e-commerce business. Amazon is doing this e-commerce business. Mintra is doing e-commerce business. So there is one common point in all of them. So they are all working on e-commerce website. Only their interface will change, but the background thing, whatever it is remaining the same. So through this, AWS will also provide you software. So what they do is they will provide you the complete e-commerce. I am telling you an example. So the e-commerce, what they will do is they will provide you some complete e-commerce solution. So similarly, you can also take some example of some, like what we can say, attendance system or ERP systems, so or some accounting software. And a very simple example is this MS Office and mailing system. So intercommunication mailing system. So here you can see already the software has been developed. So this software they will provide you as rental service, right? So I think this is clear. This here is the place where the final software will be given you for rental basis. So as you can see now, you can just try to understand these three concepts. If you understand, you can just completely get the foundation of cloud services. So IaaS, where we'll be providing you infrastructure as a service, which include your hardware like processor, memory, and storage. Okay. So PaaS, what we do is all the development softwares. For example, your operating system and your database softwares, your development softwares, and all the licenses which are required for your development purposes will be given. So whereas in SaaS, the final end software, for example, this Microsoft Office, which is completely end software for creating your documents, Excel presentations, etc., which is a final product. Similarly, an email system. Similarly, some ERP system. Similarly, some e-commerce management solution. Right. So as you can see, while we are using this MS Office, do we have any? For example, if you want to use MS Office, so do you need any developers? You need not have any developers. You need not have any testing team. Why? Because already the all the development, testing, planning, and execution has been done by the Microsoft, and they have launched a final product which can be used by the end customer. So similarly, SaaS is a service where they will be providing you the end software. So SaaS is also combination of these three. Okay, so IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. SaaS will be coming along IaaS and PaaS, whereas PaaS will only come along with IaaS, whereas IaaS will come only individually, right? So these are three main cloud computing models. It is very important, and it is applicable throughout all the cloud service providers. Even if you are working on Microsoft Azure, or even if you are working on Google Cloud Platform, so this is the foundation. So basically, they'll ask you what are all the services they are providing by cloud service provider. You can simply say IS, pass, and say, and you can take one example, and you can explain the interviewer in detail. Okay. So just keep in mind that when you're talking about IS, you need to have some example. Similarly, when you're talking on pass, you need to have an example. When you're talking on SAS, you need to have an example, such that you can explain the content in a very better way to the interviewer. Okay. So again, the very important thing is this one. So deployment models. So this comes under cloud computing services, and this will come under deployment models. Okay. So with similarly, people will also call it as cloud models. Okay. So basically there are three types of cloud models. You can just simply remember it as public, private, and hybrid. So basically, when someone asks what are these cloud models, so the cloud models are of three types: public, private, and hybrid. So what happens in public is, so as you can see, public, I can tell you one very simple example. For example, you can take Facebook. So Facebook is an platform where everybody can go and create one account. For example, I am normal person. I can go one. I can create a Facebook account. I can create one Facebook account. I can log in. I can post an image. I can post a video, and I can share with friends. So as you can see here, this is a public platform, so everybody can come in, everybody can create an account, and everybody can utilize the services. So it is open for everybody. In the similar way, you can say take it as Gmail or Instagram or any other services. These are all public models. So why I'm telling this as to make you understand cloud. So how is it interrelated with the cloud? So basically this cloud is a very huge thing. So as you know that for example, this AWS is maintaining a very huge cloud. So here AWS is categorizing this cloud into three types: one is public, private, and hybrid. So what happens is, so AWS is providing everybody, these services are given to everyone. So that means all your information will be shared along with everybody. For example, if you can say, I can say, if you are having this thing, if you might have heard a term called data center. So data center, it's nothing but a very huge computer which can uh, which can handle several millions of transactions at the same time. So that means I can say, in I can very in a very simple terms I can say, for example, I can say a million servers which are connected with each other. So that will form a data center. For example, I will be having some 1 million servers. So all these 1 million servers I will be connecting, and I will be building one data center. So what happens is, here I am having 1 million servers. So what happens is, this 1 million servers I will be giving it to rent for everybody. For example, I'll say, I have given uh, I have given some 10 lakhs of server to Facebook. I've given 10 lakhs of servers to sorry 1 lakh servers to Facebook, 1 lakh server to Google, 1 lakh server to what we say, Instagram. So 1 lakh servers for Amazon website, 1 lakh servers for some other websites. So what happens is, all this servers are working on one single data center. As you can see, in one single data centers we are giving these servers to different types of people. So I'm making it available to everybody. So all your information can be stored in one single data center. In one single data center, all multiple organizations are working on it. So that means it is public. That means anybody can enter this data center and make the use of this 1 million servers. So have 1 million servers. So 1 million servers, AWS will put it on for service. So that means this 1 million servers you can give it for rent to anybody. It might be any outsider, any individual. For example, if you are a startup, you want to join, you want to put your website, or if you want to put your project online. So what you can do, you can just directly get into there, you can start using the AWS service. Why? Because it is public. All in cloud is nothing but, we can also call it as public cloud. So any individual which whoever want to use cloud services, they can go and get it directly from the AWS. So that is what simply we can call it as a public platform. So anybody who want to use these services, they can just get in and use. Okay, so there is no restriction. Anybody want to use cloud service providers, they can go directly and make an account and can start using it. So that is why I have given example of Facebook. So Facebook, everybody can come, everybody can use, everybody can post messages, and everybody can make friends. So similar way, AWS is also having one public cloud. So where everybody, anybody, anyone who want to use cloud service can get in there and then we can use the service. So that means you're working in an organization where all the information is kept in one place, public place. I've told I given example of 1 million servers. So all these 1 million servers will be located at one place. So in the same data center, your data might be kept on any random server. So next, I think instead of going for hybrid, we'll try to understand private cloud. Then automatically you'll understand what is hybrid cloud. So, okay. So in private cloud, I can tell you very in a simplest way. So basically, the where the data is more, you want your data to be more secure. Okay, for example, I'll say this bank transactions. So the data is very need to be very secure. All this data is very private, and you cannot share all this information with any other common public. So that is why what happens is, for example, this SBI, HDFC, ICICI, and these are all private. So this information is very important that it need to be maintained separately. You can't maintain all these servers along with the public servers, right? So once the public cloud gets hacked, automatically your bank related information will also get hacked. So nobody will take that risk to put all this private and very important information along in the public cloud. So that time what happens is, you will go and ask AWS, I want private cloud. That means what AWS will do is, so it will maintain some separate set of servers. For example, if you are asking for around 1,000 servers, so these 1,000 servers are maintained separately only for you. So this 1,000 server will form a cloud, and only this 1,000 servers will be provided you as a service. So this is completely separate. So these are all not associated with any public cloud or data centers. So here what AWS will do is, AWS is will give you one-to-one service. Like AWS will give you take your requirement, and it will provide you personally. So that will come under private cloud, where cloud service providers provide you the service individually, so one to one. And this will be mostly, for example, who will be the users of this private cloud will be mostly banks and government organizations, like Aadhaar, some passport service. So these type of servers are maintained separately. So these separate servers are provided by AWS. So I think now it's somewhat clear for you. Public means everybody can use the AWS service. So where private will only be used for certain organizations where they want to keep the data more secret. Okay, now comes to hybrid. So in hybrid, what happens is, in hybrid you'll be having combination of both. So for understanding this hybrid model, I'll just tell you one simple example. You can take one building. Okay, so you can take one building, or for example some shopping complex you can take. So in this shopping complex, you'll be having different levels of parking, right? For example, I will take three levels, so I'll take five levels of parking. So five levels of parking, what the person can do is, so the two levels they will be given for VIP parking. Okay, so another three levels are open for public. So as you can see, you can see in the picture also, you can just consider this as a building. So as you can, the same building, as you can see, this yellow rounds, one, two, three, four. So let us assume that this yellow rounds are public parking, whereas this white rounds, which you can see on the picture, will be standing for the uh, private parking. But what happened is, all this parking is available in the same building. The same building is providing you parking for both. It is combination of public parking as well as private parking. So in some cases, what happens is, AWS can also provide you hybrid services. So hybrid services, that means in a data center, all your servers are located like this, right? So in the same data center, what happens is, this this they will segregate the traffic, the number of servers accordingly. Some sections they will put private, and some section they'll put public. That means the data center will remain the same, but it will be handling both public and well as private. So that will come under private. That combination of public and private cloud within the same data center, we can call it as hybrid. So these are all very foundation to your cloud computing concept. So anywhere if you go, the main thing, if you want to understand, if the person wants to know if you have done this cloud computing, first thing they'll be working on this model. They'll ask you models. You need to explain IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. So second is, if they're asking you this cloud deployment models, you need to explain public, private, and hybrid. So you can just take one example for public and you can explain. You can take one example of private, you can explain, and you can take hybrid and you can explain with an example. Okay. So moving forward, so it is very important for you to understand the problem. For example, the most common interview questions will be like, for example, if you go to any interview, so first question is, they'll ask you like, why should I move to cloud, right? So why should I move to cloud? If you are having this thing, so you should understand. So what is the requirement of the cloud? Why I should not maintain my own server within my premise? If I maintain my own server on my premise, what are my problems? And if I go to cloud, what are the problems and advantages? So this you should have clarity. Okay, so this is all very important. You should understand the clarity, like what is it to maintain on premise and what is it to maintain on cloud. So first, the thing is, we'll start with all in cloud. So as you can see, what are the advantages are no upfront investment. So that means we need not buy any physical hardware or any license or any software. So all this is provided in the cloud in the form of IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. So all the services you need not buy any servers. So you can just take from the cloud. So second one is low ongoing cost. That means, can simply, for example, it's very easy to calculate for you the cost. It's very transparent. For example, I'll say if you are using one server for 30 days, okay, and five servers for 30 days. So the calculation is very transparent. For example, I can tell you in a very simplest way. Everybody is using a mobile phone. So in mobile phone, the calculation is very simple. That means, how many, for example, you can just say this minutes of call. For example, if you are talking for 5 minutes, so you need to pay only for the 5 minutes of the call. If you are making a call for 10 minutes, so you need to pay for the 10 minutes. If you are consuming 2 GB of data per day, you need to pay accordingly. If you are using 10 GB of data per day, you need to pay accordingly. So in that way, that is very transparent, and you can regulate your prices also. So that means low ongoing force. If you want to regulate, if you think that five servers is costing you more price, then you can reduce your servers to three. So that means you can pay only for the three servers. In the same time, if you want to use more number of servers, if you want to use 10 servers for 5 days and 5 servers for 5 days, so that means only 5 days of 10 servers will be calculated, and 5 days of 5 servers will be calculated. It doesn't mean that only all the time they'll pay this flexibility. Like for example, 30 days you need to pay for 10 servers. So there is no commitment like that. Whenever you want, you can take up the service, and whenever you want, you can give up the service. So, and very important thing is focus on innovation. So that means, as you can see, you need not worry about your hardware resources. Like for example, the just recently we have discussed about this Flipkart thing. If you are having so much, you are planning for the big billion day. So if you are planning big billion day, you need not have focus on worry about your server infrastructure. Like for example, if you are expecting, for example, 3 lakhs people, so suddenly 5 lakh people are coming to purchase. If more number of people are coming, so that means it will become as like something like, okay, how to handle if the more traffic comes, what should I do? If traffic is not coming, what should I do? So how to handle your servers? So how my server will be handling, how my server will be handling the load, how I can put the server on buffer, how can I handle the traffic? So these are all you need not worry, because all this given by the cloud service providers. So you never worry about this hardware arrangements and all this will be, what you can do is you can just keep up all this arrangements to the AWS. Only you can focus innovation, or you can simply say, I can say, you can just focus on your business. And flexible capacity, as I told you, that you can just expand your number of servers, and you can just decrease your number of servers. It's flexible, like you want to add 100 servers, you can add at a time. For example, I think this big billion day example will work for fund five, for 10 days. You will be buying 100 servers. So after 10 days, what you will do, you can reduce all the servers, and you want to maintain only 10 servers. So flexibility, if you want 100, you can maintain. If you want 10, you can maintain. So everything will be coming from the cloud. Speed and agility, so similarly it is also the same thing. The more number of servers, you can get more speed, and less number of servers, you can get less speed. So one more important thing is global reach on demand. So that means one more important thing is, as you are very well know, that this internet doesn't mean that you can website is only limited to or India, or limited to Hyderabad, or limited to Telangana. So that means once you are putting all your services on internet, you can just reach it globally. I can just give you some simple example of PUBG. So PUBG doesn't mean that it is only limited to Hyderabad, or limited to only Telangana or India. So once you host this game on cloud, so this game can be accessed through anywhere on this planet. So that is what this cloud will give you. It will give you a global reach for your product. That means you can do some international business. Okay, so now coming to this on premises. So on premises, I think we have discussed some problems yesterday, but this is what a standardized problem which you can just understand. So large initial purchase. First thing is you need to have some land to put up all your setup. So as you can see, this is the area which they have occupied. In that large initial space, they are putting up your arrangement of your servers. So you need to have some land. It might be purchase or rent for your installation. So next, it need labor, it need patches and upgrade cycles. So we need some labor to maintain. As I have told, we need to have some administrator to look after it, and upgrade cycles. As you know that this recently we have discussed about this big billion day. Suddenly, if your requirement is more, you need to upgrade your hardware, because 10 servers won't be able to handle your traffic. If you want to increase the number of traffic, that will fall under this upgrade. So system administration. So this main thing is, when you're maintaining your servers on premises, so you need to monitor them for 24 by 7. So whenever you need to be very prompt in solving the problems and addressing the issues. And very important thing is fixed capacity. So we need to have the capacity to maintain the servers, and long procurement cycle and setup. So it doesn't mean that in cloud it's very simple. If you want to add one server, it can happen in only 1 or 2 minutes. Just simply you can create a server. I think the server will be available for you within 5 minutes. And understand the same scenario while you are establishing this in your on premise. So procurement will be very long. For example, if you want to install one server and join it to the existing thing, it is a minimum, it will be taking around 5 to 10 days. Why? Because you need to purchase the hardware, you need to install the hardware, you need to put your software into it, and you need to deploy your applications. So and you need to existingly integrate the same server with your existing. So you need to do the networking part. So this is very time consuming process when you're working on premises. Whereas in cloud, it's hardly a job of 5 to 10 minutes. So that is a reason, that is a problem with on premise. So limited geographical locations. As I think we were discussing about this LAN and MAN yesterday. So that means each there will be limited with your network. So you can add only limited number of you can able to give your service to the very limited number of regions, because you don't have this networking abilities. Whereas cloud, it directly work from the internet, so it can give access to the globally. Okay, So this is also one of the important questions while you are facing any interview. So the interviewer might be asking what are the difficulties in maintaining server on premises. So he might be also asking why should I move to cloud. So you need to have proper explanation to make the other person to understand. So these are all the problems, so these are all the advantages which we are having when you are moving to AWS. So this is applicable to any other cloud service provider also. Even if you are attending some Azure interview, the concepts are same. Even if you are attending any other Google Cloud Platform interview, these concepts will remain the same because everything will fall under cloud computing only. Okay, so this is for difference between all in cloud and all in premises service. Okay, so one thing is we have discussed that, okay, we have now understood what is the need, why do we need a cloud, and what are the different services provided by the cloud, and what are the different types of model available on the cloud. So now you can understand what can you do in the cloud. So what we can exactly do in the cloud. So why we are using servers, why we are using servers, why we need all these services, or why we need cloud. So first thing, how can use them? Like what are all the applications for using these servers? So what we can do is first one is application hosting. So you can first application hosting. I can take very simple example. I'll say Facebook is an application. So Instagram is an application. Gmail is an application. Some website is an application. Some software is an application. So all the software which you are developing, so need to be hosted somewhere such that it can be accessed by everyone. For example, if I develop this Facebook website, if I keep it running on only my computer, that is make sense? No. So these need to be deployed on the internet such that you can make this service accessible to everyone. So what you can do is you can build one website and you can host this application on this cloud. So I can simply take example of Facebook. So Facebook I have developed on my laptop, and I have hosted on cloud computing platform such that everybody can access this. So what you can do is you can host application. So whatever it might be, I just gave the example of Facebook, Instagram, and online office, online emailing system. As you can see, there are so many online softwares which are available. So you can host your application on cloud. So second one is backup and storage. So as you can see that all this information is up, for example, if you are putting one application on the internet, it is pulling out so many information from the internet. For example, if you have built one Flipkart, for example, go with Flipkart only. So while uh, putting one Flipkart website online, so Flipkart website when you're using, when the user is using some Flipkart website, in return he is putting up data. For example, the person is creating an account, which is additional information. He's creating an order, which is additional information. Again, he's adding some tracking thing, which is an additional information. And again, the person is giving a feedback, that is an additional information. So all this data need to be stored. Again, what happens is we need to have a proper storage system and backup system to maintain this data. So all this additional information which is coming from the users or different types of sources will again come back to the cloud, and for that we need to maintain some proper storage system. Similarly, you can just simply take example of YouTube. So in YouTube, what happens is so many people will be uploading the data. So all this need to be stored somewhere on the cloud. So that we can do. So we can also use this cloud for storage. You can simply take an example of YouTube, or you can take example of G Drive or OneDrive, Dropbox. These are all using for your storage and backup purposes. So content delivery, I can simply tell you the example of content delivery. You can take example of Netflix or Amazon Prime or Hotstar, where the content which they are delivering is a video or combination of images and video. So here what we can do is specifically design our cloud in such a way to deliver that type of specific requirement. So content delivery will be like specific requirement for the specific requirement given by the client. For example, if you are taking YouTube as a application, so the main content of the YouTube will be videos and images. So whereas if you take the specifically a Facebook website, so here the content will be a combination of videos, combination of images, and a combination of text. So what you need to understand is the requirement of server changes along with the content. Okay, so I think yesterday while discussing we have told that while JNTU website we are taking result. So the result is only a combination of some part of text. So you need to choose your server specifically. So whereas for example if you are using some making some application called YouTube, so there the content is specifically videos where you need to have very high amount of bandwidth. So for the streaming section, so you need to maintain or select your server specifically. So in that way, cloud computing also provide you specific amount of servers according to your content. So similarly, what you can do, you can use cloud computing for hosting your websites. So similarly, you can use your cloud computing platform for other enterprise IT applications. So as you can see, enterprise IT applications, you can simply say it as this what we say some what we, SBI website where they are using these transactions online, right? So banks they are doing it, and some government organizations they are doing it, and some private organizations are there which they are maintaining their own handling. For example, for enterprise IT, you can say that job portals handling by the organizations. So there are so many examples like that. So similarly, databases. So in databases, you'll be storing all your information. For example, if you are putting some Flipkart website, so Flipkart website will be pulling out, will be creating some additional information like users and this their information. So all this information will be kept in the databases. Again, these databases will be handled in the cloud. So you can say how we can use cloud. So for that you can give this example. So when you are how when the person is asking you how can you what are the benefits of using a cloud, so what are the advantages of using a cloud, so what things I can do on cloud, what is the uses of cloud, so why I need to use cloud. So that time you can explain each of this thing with some examples so that the other person get understand that okay this person has knowledge on cloud computing. Okay. So I think we have already discussed the difference between on-premises infrastructure and Amazon services. So so as you can see, it just first try to can just try to understand the on-premises infrastructure. I think while looking at the picture itself, you might be able to get it. So simply here you can see, for example, let us take the scenario of on-premises infrastructure. So on-premises infrastructure, what happens is you need to maintain your own databases, storages, and databases. So for that, what you need to do, you need to install RDMS softwares. Okay, so you need to add volumes, or we can say simply say it as hard drives. So basically, when you're and just on for understanding this on-premises infrastructure, you can just take an example of your laptop or desktop also for understanding it a better one. So what you will do, for example, if you are working on your desktop, so what you need to do, your desktop need to have some storage. So what you will do, you'll be buying some hard drives. So hard drives maybe you'll be trying 500 GB or 1 TB or 2 TB. So you need to buy your storage and for databases. So again, when you are going in the cloud, for example, if you are using this server, you're maintaining on AWS. So so AWS will be providing you this different types of storage services. So basically EBS. So EBS will be standing for the block storage. So in this block storage, we can use for the storage of raw data. That means any types of videos, any types of images, any types of text you can store. Simply block storage, you can take example of our C drive or D drive or E drive we can create on our laptop, right? So inside the drive we can put any type of information. So similarly, file system, you can use NTFS file system or FAT32 file system or any other file system you can use. And Amazon S3 also, we can say it as a complete combined storage of all raw data we can store. Whereas Amazon RDS, it stands for Relational Database System. So where you need to put your data in a structured way, like SQL databases or relational databases, we call them. When we are working on this practical part, you'll be understanding it in a better way. So storage solution here, you'll in your on-premises, you'll be handling using your drives, whereas Amazon is providing you different types of file system according to your usage. If you want to use storage information, you can use go for RDS. If you want to use S3, combination of all. Similarly, if you want to have some file system, you can use. So just replicating the same functionality on the cloud. So how you can do that? So that is explaining. So basically on premise, next comes server section. So basically on premises we'll be having huge amount of boxes or hardware section. Whereas in servers, what you can do is simply you can create a server. Basically on AWS we call it as EC2. So that means it is an instance, Elastic Cloud Compute. EC2 stands for Elastic Cloud Compute. So basically, we call it as server when it is working on premises, but the same thing when it is on the cloud, we call it as EC2, Elastic Cloud Compute. In local terms, we call it as server, whereas on AWS we call it as EC2. Server and EC2 both are the same. Server in terms of on-premise, whereas EC2 is in AWS premise. So when your server is on AWS, we call it as EC2. Okay, remember that whenever you are working creating a server on AWS, we call it as EC2. Okay, so networking. So again, you can say the other time when we are discussing. So if you want to share your server resources, so there are so many options to share your server resources. So we'll be using different types of LAN, this wiring, switches, routers, and also we can say our simply what we use the Wi-Fi routers nowadays to transfer your information or exchange the information or for communication purpose. We use all this. So this is all additional infrastructure or hardware you need to buy. Whereas in networking, so all this happens internally. So the cloud will take out all the sections. So simply the configuration part, configuration of LAN or configuration of this IP addresses or configuration of auto scaling, configuration of load balancing. So everything will be handled by AWS. In simply this networking part, you can say, for example, if you are having five servers, next you need to add five more servers. So all these things you need to be connected using these routers, switches, network pipelines, etc. Right? So where that this additional addition of any extra servers on the cloud is very very easy. So that can be all the Amazon will only take the responsibility of all this installation, configuring, etc. and all will be handled by AWS. And the most important thing while working on any cloud platform is security. Okay, so while for example, if you are working on your on premises, so what we do, we'll put one administrator who will be looking up after the security threats. And also we will be using what you'll say, we'll be using some antivirus softwares, so we to protect our information. Similarly, we'll also be installing our firewalls. As you know that there are so many threats from the internet. So if you are having any maintaining any sensitive information, to maintain that it needs a very high very high risk to protect them when you are putting on premises. Whereas when you are putting all your sensitive information on the internet, so AWS will make sure that it will be providing you in a world class security for your information. You need not buy any extra software, like for example, need not hire any administrator, or you need not buy any firewall system, or you need not buy any antivirus software to use. So all these things will be taken care by the AWS. So mainly focusing and trying to understand. So simply what you can do is storage and databases, servers, networking, and security. So these are all some of the advantages which AWS is providing for us. So one more this very important thing is cloud terminology. I think cloud in this cloud terminology, when we are putting all our information on the AWS cloud. So what we should expect, right? So we thought that okay, they are giving us some good services. You have trusted AWS. Okay, you have trusted AWS, and maintaining your on premises was a biggest tough challenge for you. So after identifying the challenges, you have shifted to cloud. So because they have told you that there are all advantages of using the cloud, so you have kept all your website onto the cloud. So for example, here you have said that okay, these are all different services, they are giving you options. So for that, what you have done, for example, you have built one website and you have created some databases and you have posted onto the AWS. You have created one EC2 instance, and you have uploaded your website, and you have put kept in database. And also as they have promised you, they will be providing you the security. So okay, let us assume the scenario that you have trusted AWS, right? So AWS given you services, you got more impressed by the AWS section, and you have put your information on AWS. So what should you expect? Like what are your things you need to look after? So these are all very important things which you need to look after while you are putting all your information on the cloud. So first thing is high availability. So as you know that internet works on this down. You might be hearing about some terms called SLA, service level agreement, or downtime or uptime. So as you know that whenever you keep your server on AWS, it should be high available. So high availability means that it should be available all the time. For example, if you are using WhatsApp or Facebook, so as you can see, you are able to access your Facebook 24/7 all the time, right? For example, Facebook is not working for 2 to 3 hours, so doesn't, that is some type of fault. So that is a type of problem. That means it is not high available. For example, if your Facebook website is only working from morning 7 a.m. to night 7 p.m., so it doesn't mean that it is in high available, because the other 12 hours it is not working. So while putting your information onto the cloud, should make sure that it is high available. It should be available all the time, so there should be no downtime. So basically, when you are putting this putting all your information on cloud, basically they are providing you 99.9% of uptime. That means Amazon is giving you an assurance that your website will be up for 99.9%. So that means it is available all the time for 99.9%. So remaining 0.1% is some type, there will be some unpredictable things to happen. For example, earthquakes might come or some natural calamities might happen. So in that case, nobody can help, right? So for that purpose, they are saying only 99.9% availability we will provide you. Okay. So next is fault tolerance. So ability to withstand some certain amount of failures and still remain functional. So main thing is, for example, if you are working on some 10 servers on Amazon, so what happens is this there is very common that sometimes this hardware malfunction might happen, or some hardware failure might happen, right? So in that case, you need to look after the fault tolerance. So they are providing that fault tolerance. Even there is some plan A, there should be always plan B. If plan A works, there should be backup of plan B. So you need to this cloud terminology will provide you in that way. So even if one server is not working, I'm just telling you an example. If one is not working, automatically you should have some plan B to work. Okay, so this fault tolerance stands for that. and scalability. So basically, I think we have already discussed this section. So whenever you want to increase the number of servers, you can increase, or whenever you want to decrease the number of servers, it is we can decrease. So that means scalability. Whenever you want to increase, you can increase, or whenever you want to decrease, you can decrease. Simply, you can also call it as flexible. So ability to easily grow in size, capacity, or scope whenever is required. So in this cloud, they are providing you this service. So growth is usually based on demand. So basically, this growth basically on day one itself, AWS will not provide you the full capacity for you. So what it will be catering your requirements according to your need. So based on the demand, for example, if you ask me, this limited, there is certain standard at a time. For example, you can take example of this Geo IPL which is happening now. So as you can say that, where, for example, everybody is watching IPL. So average between 50 lakhs to 80 lakhs is average viewership, or else sometimes the viewership will go up to 1.5 crores or 1.2 crores in the evening or at the peak times. So at a time, 1.5 crore people want to access the video. So that means huge and tremendous amount of traffic which a server can accept. So that means you need to provide data to 1.2 cr people at the same time. That is very very challenging task. So it doesn't mean that you are getting into this cloud AWS service today, and you can immediately and go and ask for this uh, project like IPL. So that means it need to be taken on demand. So that means on day one itself or day two itself, Amazon will not give you that much of capacity or that much of strength for your website to be working. So it happens overall with the time. So that the growth is given according to the demand. So you need to show like, okay, this is my traffic, so this is the traffic which might happen. So that means it cannot they all give you all the what are all the requirements you are asking on the same day. So you need to take according to the demand and request. So elastic, so ability to grow when required and to reduce in size when resources are no longer required. So scalable, I think it is almost similar to scalability also. So whenever you want to reduce, you can reduce, and also whenever you don't need so the specific data, so you can just remove the resources. So resources, we can stand in both resources. Here it stands in both, either way it come. Resources might be hardware and resources might be software also. Hardware resources will be including this memory, storage and all, whereas the software resources will be like the files which you put there, or software or deployment things that will come under software resources. Okay, so I think this is the summary which you need, what we have learned today. So cloud computing is the on-demand delivery of IT resources. I think we have discussed IT resources like websites, applications, storages, backup. So these are all come under IT resources, online with pay-as-you-go service. So for each service you'll be paying. So three models of cloud computing: infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. So we got to get into detail. So all in the cloud. So we have discussed the three cloud models. One is public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. And cloud services are available to replace traditional on-premises computing activities. So I think this we have got into detail, like what are the things which you need to handle while maintaining on-premises, and what are the challenges which you face, and what are the advantages of cloud computing. So what is the difference? So we went in detail and try to understand the on-premises concepts, and we have tried to understand the cloud servicing concepts. Okay, I think this is clear for you, because this is the foundation which every person need to understand before starting with the AWS. Okay, so this I think will start from tomorrow. This benefits, and directly can start with uh, cloud services. So, so this is a section which we will be starting from tomorrow. So basically, what are the services provided by AWS and how we can use. So what are the names of the services which we will be able to use. So for servers, what is the service they are giving? For storage, what is the service they are giving? And for databases, what is the service they are giving? For maintaining your virtual machine and for maintaining your IoT, or for maintaining your mobile section, for maintaining your website, what are all the different services which Amazon is providing you? For security purpose, what are the things they are providing you? So one thing is, you need to identify the services with the name. So, for example, simply I'll tell, for example, compute section is there. So, compute section, if I say EC2, so EC2 section will be giving you the strength of this servers. Similarly, if you want to go for this databases, I need to understand, okay, Amazon RDS. So Amazon RDS will be working on this relational databases service. Similarly, if you want to go for the storage, if you want to storage, so you need to know that you'll be in make you should be making use of Amazon S3 as a service. So these are all the different things you need to understand while we are getting into this AWS. Like which service will provide you what. So that we'll get into deeper, and most probably we'll try to create our Amazon account also. Then we can start working. And one more thing is, this is just a theoretical part, so that is why it is consuming some time, because everybody need to know the basics. So without the basics, we can't directly get into the subject. So that is why I'll making it to you to understand this. So I think this will help you a lot while working on this cloud. You can easily correlate with the basics. So like you can understand what is what and why we are doing this, so that will make you understand it better. And so that is the reason we have completed this. And I think that is it for today's class. And if you're having any doubt, you can just ask me. I'll try to clear. Mostly on this AWS. On the next class, we'll just cover this AWS service, and we'll create an AWS account. Then we can start with the practical. So I think there will be one more class for the theory. So after that, we can start with the practical. Okay, guys, any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay. Shall we end
No,
the
sir.
class for today?
No, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So okay,
Yes,
okay. Thank you, guys. We'll meet in the next class. I think today I've done with the recording. I'll share the recording also. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
sir.